He wasn't like in the gym deadlifting. And so we had to create some of that for him. And so those types of workouts, pushing that ceiling up, and it's a perfect segue to, hey coach, how do I raise my FTP? Push the ceiling up, push what you feel like you can do, push like what your musculature is comfortable doing. And the FTP is going to rise because it didn't have space to rise before. It's like, this is one of the, not to switch sports on us, but it's one of the number one issues with American marathon. American marathoners for a long time just weren't fast enough. You've got guys out there running 4:30s for a marathon, which is mind-boggling, right? But their fastest mile ever is 4:15. That gap's too small. You need to push the ceiling up. You need to push that capacity up so that you can go fill in the gap with something you can hold. And I really think that's a massively ignored aspect of raising FTP.
So would you say, would the high end of that be VO2 max? Would that be anaerobic capacity or everything above threshold?
It's just everything above threshold. I mean, that workout, that minute, 2 minute, 45, 90, 30 minute, 15 all out. That is almost production, right? It's almost just lactate production. I just want you to be able to go so hard that you're producing a level of lactate and discomfort that you don't normally produce. My problem, and this is the sports psychiatrist in me talking, my problem with the traditional method of don't do VO2 max until 3 weeks out of racing or 2 weeks out of racing is, what does that athlete feel when they finally do VO2 max? It feels awful.
Yes.
And they're questioning everything about themselves. And now they got to go race 2 weeks later. They're going to get their butts handed to them. I want them to know what that feels like all the time. And I want them to know what that feels like in the off season. I want my guys, like when we're in March or February of this year, doing sprints all together as a group and posting lifetime high 5-second marks. Because now in June, they expect to hit that lifetime mark. Of course, they can hit it in March because they were fresh. But now they're trying to hit it in June. It raises their expectation. It raises their bar. It raises them physically, and it drastically raises them mentally.
Oh man, there's so much to that thread. And it's actually funny. I recorded a podcast with Noah probably like 3 weeks ago that I think it's posted in like 2 weeks, but he was talking about neuromuscular sprints during the winter time and just high intensity. And he was another guy that mentioned you. And your bringing up of the sports psychology piece of going above threshold, of going hard is, I had an athlete that set this 8-minute power that I was like, dude, how did you do this compared to what your threshold is? I'm like, this guy must just, and we don't live near each other. So I'm like, there's no way he's doing, like, he doesn't know how to go hard. So I'm like, how do we do this? I'm like, dude, Tuesday, go do this VO2 max workout. Thursday, go do this workout. Didn't really try to connect them at all. Blows it out of the park. And I said, what the hell was different on Thursday? And he's like, I don't know, man. I just like, it was easier than Tuesday. And I'm like, oh my God, why did I never think about this before? Just the mindset of, oh damn, this isn't VO2 max. And he rails like 40 minutes of threshold, which before, would like be the third one. He's like, this, I'm like giving my all. I'm like, this guy's not giving his all. This is, I know you're better. All mental. It was like, as a young coach at that time, I was like, the brain is so powerful.
Oh, well, and such a great thing. And I'll say this all the time, and I'm not jumping on you. It is originating in the brain, but you feel it physically. This is the thing, right? That's the psychobiological model. This is what people don't really understand. And I hear coaches say this all the time. It's all in their head. It's all in their head. It's all in their head. And I'm standing there going, no, it's not. Their legs feel like bread. They feel awful. Their back hurts. They have a headache. They can't breathe. All that is real. That is a physical reaction. Now, it may be originating in the brain because they're unsure, or they're questioning it, or they're doubting, or they're bored, or they're not joyous, or their girlfriend just yelled at them, or their boyfriend dumped them, or any of those things. It doesn't matter where it comes from. What they're feeling is real. So we have to be, as coaches, really good about walking into that equation and going, yeah, okay, I know you felt that, but let's come back and see where it originated from. You're not yourself. And really teaching an athlete to understand that when I say you're not yourself, they got to look off the bike. They got to sit there and go, okay, what is going on here? Where am I right? And some people are unbelievable when they're angry, right? Like I have this joke, and there's this great thing in sports psychology, individual zone of optimal functioning. Everything operates in a different eyes off individual zone of optimal function. There's some people out there that are incredibly angry. Like Michael Jordan, his eyes off was anger. It was right. He got belittled. He got disrespected. Any of those things. And I think, for better or for worse, however you feel about Lance Armstrong, that was obviously Lance. And I think he came by it honestly. He was doing that when he was 15. But most people aren't like that. But it doesn't really matter what you're like. It's figuring out what you need to be like. It took me a long time to understand that my driver for racing is joy. There's a picture of me winning a race in the middle of a race I won here. It was like 4 or 5 years ago. And it's Koppenberg. It's this hard uphill, short uphill section of like 20% or something like that. And it's a picture of me halfway through the race, off the front, smiling. Not like grimacing. Like I saw somebody at the top that I knew, and I'm smiling at them. And like that's me. That's how I operate the best. And everybody needs to kind of understand who they are and what they do with that. And because then that manifests in real sensations in the legs, in the lungs, in the breathing, all of that stuff. And yeah.
So to finish that topic, would it be, and we might, if you're ever down, we're gonna have to do a second one of these. I have like, we're not gonna have time today, but I wanted to hit like strength work,
Yeah.
miscellaneous questions.
I'm always available.